Good afternoon and welcome to Scrapbooking with a Twist. I am going to make an embellishment today. It's kind of a big embellishment, but we're doing a faith embellishment swap over on Ginger's Corner on the Facebook group. And if you've never watched Ginger's Corner, I just love her scrapbooking and she does so many good things. But on the Facebook group, we do embellishment swaps. And this is our first time to do what's called a faith embellishment. And so I'm going to make one today. I'm not promising that this is what I'm going to do for my faith embellishment because it takes a really long time to make each one of these, and we have to make 10. But I'm going to walk you through this one today. I'm going to do several things that I don't do a whole lot of. I do quite a bit of stamping, but this one is stamping and coloring and fussy cutting. And so I don't do a ton of that, especially on camera, but I'm just going to walk you through part of it and then do a little bit of it so that it doesn't, because if I walked you through this whole thing, it'd be a very long video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the stamp that I'm using today. This is just a stamp that I got at Hobby Lobby years ago, and I've used it several times. I love this little stamp, the little bear digging and planting and whatever he's doing by the fence. I love this stamp. And then I'm going to accompany this stamp with a sentiment stamp that is from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and it says, "Don't dig up in doubt what you planted in faith." And so that is the sentiment stamp that I've used for this one. I'm going to just give you kind of a little glimpse of what it's going to look like. This is what we're going to come up with when we're finished. But so just stamping, I use the VersaFine is what I use, the VersaFine ink, the black onyx. I just ink it up really good because you can't, this is an old rubber wooden stamp, so you can't put it in, you can't put it in your MISTI or anything. And so be sure that you put it on foam. I actually use, let me get that here. I actually use this is a really thick, good foam pad that's a mouse pad for your computer. And that's what I use to do my stamping on. So I ink it up really good. I put it on there. I use usually a Kleenex or something to go over it, making sure that I've pushed everywhere really well. And I get a pretty good crisp stamp. Not as good as if you could do it in the MISTI, but it isn't bad. So that is the stamp that I used. Then I colored it with my Spectrum Noir Tri-Blends. This one is the dull green, and it has the light, the medium, and the dark. I haven't really had these a real long time, and I absolutely love them. But I did all of the green in this green, and then I used the blue, the gray. Here, this is the one that I'm going to work with today. The blue, I used a brownish gray, and then the gray, a little gold for his hat, red for the bird, some various colors for the flowers. The 3 different colors, I just colored in this with the dark, the medium, and blended it with the light, and then just drew these sprigs of grass in so that I could not fussy cut all of that. And then his little kerchief in his pocket. But that, I just colored that, fussy cut it out, and I'm going to spare you watching me color and fussy cut for a very long time. So used this stamp and used this. What I am going to do is show you how I made the sign that I added to this. And so you could do a tree trunk, you can do logs. This is nothing great. I'm just going to walk you through how I did it. Sometimes I think we're afraid to try to make things on our own. So I'm just going to show you how I did this very haphazardly. This is a falling apart dauber, and I've used it on so much stuff it's falling apart. That's why I like them. When they fall apart, they're cheap. You just get another one out and use it. You do not want this nice and even. I tried using a blending brush at first, and it wasn't splotchy enough. I wanted this splotchy to be my fence post or my post for my sign. So I just started going around it, smearing it, doing whatever I could with it. And then I just took my little old Sharpie, nothing, nothing special, not a good pen or marker of any kind, just a fine tip Sharpie. And you can see where I've already cut one of them apart and I just drew some lines running down through there like wood grain. It will look fine no matter what you do. There isn't a right or wrong on this. Just draw some lines that look like you can pretend because it does not really matter. I mean, that's just nothing that I did on there. And then decide how thick you want it, how big you want it, and cut it, and you have a fence post. And there's no right or wrong size to this. This is just about what I did. And then I decided that I wanted to, I went around all of this after I got through coloring it. I went around all of it with my broad tip Sharpie because you have white and you don't want those white edges to show. So if you'll just go around it with your Sharpie, and if you can't get in those little corners, I just got my fine tip out and did it. But that's exactly what I'm going to do with this, just to give it some edges. Just go around it with my Sharpie, just to give it some edges. Now, I always do it from the underneath side because invariably when I don't, if I try to do it from the top, I end up marking on, I'll slip and pull it out on my object that I'm doing. So I always do it kind of from this underneath side, just to get rid of that white on those edges. Nothing of any skill or anything involved here. And then I'm actually going to give it just a little bit of black with my black soot, just tiny little bit around the edges. I probably could have eliminated the black Sharpie and just do it this way, but I really wanted those edges covered good, so that's what I did. For whatever reason, I did it. Okay, so we have our fence post made. Then the sign itself, I did the exact same thing. I started with my white paper. I didn't do anything. I just started with my white paper, put it in my MISTI, stamped my sentiment on it until I got good coverage with my black onyx ink still again. And then I heat embossed so you can see that it's got a good embossing on it. Nice and shiny, raised a little bit. I heat embossed it, and then I just took I'm using, by the way, walnut stain in my distress ink, and then I just took this and just started going all over it, and I wanted it uneven. I didn't want it even. I wanted it very uneven to give that old wooden sign look. And then I just did some very light lines, went over it again to kind of mute those a little bit, and then I haven't done this, I did it on the other one, and then give it a little bit of dusting around the edges with the black soot. I actually went in some of these and did a little bit with my Sharpie marker also, just to keep any of that white from showing. So now we have our sign that looks like an old wooden sign. We have the post for our sign, and I want a little bit. I had it like that at first, and I didn't really like it. I really like a little bit of that post sticking up. So we're just going to put a tiny little bit of glue on that. And the reason I just want a little dot of glue on there to hold it, I wanted them to see what my intention for this was. But if I do this in the partner swap, I didn't want so much glue on there that if they decided that they wanted to take this sign off, and do something else with it, it gave them an option. Okay, so there we have our sign made. And then I've got all of my coloring done, all of my fussy cutting done. I've outlined it, made sure that there isn't any white. Actually, there's a tiny bit of white right there that I want to cover up. Right there. I've got all of the white. Just makes it look, to me, more professional to have that black around the edges. And then I'm going to decide where I want this. So I want it to overlap in there. I want this part up on foam. So let's get our foam tape out. So I want this part up on foam. I want his little hat and everything to just bed right in there so that nothing covers up our words, and our little bird to be right in there, almost like our little bird is singing, "Don't dig up and doubt what you planted in faith." So in order to get this, the first part of it, I'm going to figure out where I need this and get that on there. Okay, so that's where I need that. So we've got it on the post. Now this is the trickiest one. It and one other are kind of tricky. So let's get this right where we want it, and then we will do the rest. Let's put it right about there. So that's going to give us some dimension. Now, I'm not going to show you, but for the swap, I actually cover it in, I put all of the foam tape that they're going to need on it. I put some more up here to hold our post and get all of that just like we need it. So when they put it on their page, they have all, it's sturdy, it has all the foam tape that they need. But for right now, I'm not going to make you watch all of that. I'm just going to kind of finish it off. And the way I'm going to finish this off is to put just a couple of little actual flowers on there. So I'm going to, let's see, let's put a real flower here over that one. Maybe this little purple one. These are just some tiny, tiny little flowers that I got at Hobby Lobby. And they had a little stem with a little centerpiece on them that was pretty dimensional. And I just took that off, took the stem out and took that off. Let's put one right up here, not even over an actual flower. And I could have done that down there and added, instead of adding it on an actual flower. And then let's put one, let's put one right down here. Does not matter. There's no wrong way to place these. But let's put one right down here. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of Nuvo. Actually, I like the stickles better for this, but I'm almost out of it. So I'm going to use just a little bit of Nuvo drops right in the center of these little flowers that I added. In the, I don't know what it's called. I think the stickles, it's called crystal. These are just called glitter drops, but it'll dry clear and just give those little centers of those flowers a really bright, shiny look. But I love this. I'm going to show you how I've used this before, but that may be, but believe me, it takes a long time to do all of this coloring and the fussy cutting. So I'm not promising that this is going to be my swap item, but it very well may be. I want to show you what else I've done. I made these a good while ago, like over a year ago, actually, made these for our cards that we send out to our shut-ins at church. And I didn't use this because it was a little bit large, so I just typed it in, don't dig up and doubt what you planted in faith. But I love this stamp. And the stamp actually has who that quote is by, and I want to give her credit for that, even though I cut it off because I didn't want the sign so big. That's by Elizabeth Elliot, and I absolutely love that stamp. You know, I want to go ahead and do our twist before I get any further, because our twist deals with doubt today. Our twist is from James 1:6, and it says, "But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind." You know, doubt makes us miserable. It absolutely makes us miserable in every part of our life. We may doubt our performance at work. We may doubt our worth. We may doubt our marriage at times. But the worst thing that we can doubt is our faith and our relationship with the Lord. And so when we question that, we create a crack in our armor, and that allows the devil to come in and have room to take us down. And so we absolutely want to try to keep that crack out of our armor. But I don't want us to be so hard on ourselves. And let me remind you of this. We all experience doubt from time to time. We all do. Things in our lives, troubles in our lives, cause us to experience doubt from time to time. But the solution is to turn to the one that has the power to shore us back up and to get us back in shape again. I want to remind us of a situation. Even those that were the closest to Jesus doubted. If you remember Thomas told them when they said, "He's arisen, he's alive." And he says, "Unless I can put my fingers in his hand, and my hand in his side where they put that sword, I won't believe." And so Jesus met Thomas exactly where he needed him. He said, "Thomas, here, see my hands, and here, see my side." And of course, we know that Thomas believed. Jesus will meet us where he needs us too. So don't put yourself down for doubting. Just take yourself to the foot of the cross so that the one who can heal our doubt can take care of us just like he did Thomas. So here is that little finished embellishment. I still need to put the little flowers on this one. Here is the card. In case you didn't use it as an embellishment on a scrapbook page, it makes for a great card to send to someone. I love this little bear. Now, this one was done in watercolors because it was before, like I said, it was over a year ago, and it was before I got my tri-blend markers, and I really love the one with the markers even better. And this was done with some ink blending, brushed ink blending, and I really like these better. But I hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, this may show up in our embellishment swap, just not sure yet whether I'll get that many of them made. I hope you have a blessed day, and thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you so much. I enjoy spending time with you. I appreciate your comments, and if you would give me a thumbs up and maybe send me a comment, and just have a blessed day.